In recent times, invasive species and forest pests have really made it a challenge to do restoration with the loss of the ash trees and the loss of the hemlocks. The willows currently don't have any invasive species that are going after them, so no real forest pests that are not from around here. However, they do have challenges to overcome. There is a native willow leaf beetle that can come. It tends to have population explosions, and it can come out and it completely decimates and takes all the foliage off of the willow. Last year on the bushkill over in Ashokan, we experienced an outbreak of that willow leaf beetle. And as I'm driving down Watson Hollow Road, I look over in the middle of summer and I see all these willows just absolutely brown. And went over, took some samples of this bug that was on it. There were thousands of them. We sent them to Cornell to figure out what they were. It turned out it was this native leaf beetle, and the entomologist said, well, these things the population will come up, it will explode so much that they no longer have any nutrients to eat, and then the population crashes and the willow has a chance to recover from that. So luckily there are no foreign invaders that are attacking the willows. It's really the natives, bugs that keep the willows in check. You know, these things tend to grow in really thick stands, so once you get a couple of bugs, they're able to easily reproduce and take over a stand. The other challenge that we have with getting willows to grow, and we experienced this on a bioengineering project over on the bushkill, is that when you stick these things in the ground and they're really small, deer like to eat them. The young shoots of willow are definitely palatable to deer, and so if you're in a really high concentration deer area like project that we built, where there were a lot of deer crossing through the valley, every time the willow put a shoot up, the deer came and chomped it down. And so for a whole year, the deer were coming through and eating all the new shoots, and unfortunately we lost a lot of material because it wasn't able to put those shoots up to let the leaves capture the sunlight to make the energy to put the roots out. And so in the course of a year, we lost a very large proportion of the material that was on this project. So protection from deer herbivory is really important when you're installing these, especially if you're in a high concentration deer area. It hasn't happened on all of our projects, so it's on a case-by-case basis whether or not you need to worry about deer eating them or not. It's always great to err on the side of caution, and if you have the ability, to try to protect the area from deer once you've established these. One of the other plants that we use are dogwoods, shrub dogwoods. So in the Catskills we have red osier dogwood and we have silky dogwood. Those also grow from cuttings. Same way that the willows do. They're a little more showy. They have nicely colored bark. They have nice flowers on them and berries in the summertime for the birds. The problem with doing live staking of dogwoods is the dogwood shrub is about the most palatable shrub for deer in the Catskills. And so it's really challenging to get those to have enough growth on the top to put out roots. And so using the dogwood cuttings is always cautioned if you have a lot of deer around, because it's really hard to get them to establish. So with regards to supporting native vegetation on your property, the best thing you can do is just to simply stop mowing down to the stream edge. You know, I recognize that many folks live along the stream and they want to maintain a view of the stream and they want to maintain an access to the stream so that they can get down and enjoy it. And that's perfectly fine, but allowing vegetation to grow along your stream is not only important for the health of the stream, but it's important for the stability of your individual property. So designated an area, you know, minimally 10 feet from the top of the stream bank back into your yard to allow the native vegetation to grow is the best thing that you can do as a landowner for letting for making sure that this stuff is growing and is healthy. Designated the no-mow areas, number one. Number two is identifying potentially invasive species on your property. So streams, stream banks are frequently disturbed by flooding, and so they're a great area for invasive species, plants, to take hold. Invasive plants often like to grow on disturbed areas, and so keeping an eye out for some of the invasives, having one of our staff come to your property and identify some of the invasives that you have, and starting to take take control of them. Things like Japanese barberry and multiflora rose, you know, ripping those out of the bank and pulling the seedlings for a couple of years on small infestations is really quite easy to do, and it has great results in the end. If you pull out those invasives, you give room for things like willows and dogwoods and some of the pretty native plants that we have to grow in your area. So ask for assistance. There are a lot of invasive species threatening the Catskills right now, and it's really hard for one person to know all of them. And so give our office a call, have us come out. We can help you identify them. We can come up with a management strategy to help you deal with those invasive species. We might even be able to provide some labor and some money to help you do that, so that it's not the individual landowner that's taking on this problem, which is a community problem. The invasives are all over the place, and so we have support. We can provide support to landowners to help you manage the invasives on your property, so that you can give native plants the best chance of growing. So stop mowing, deal with the invasive plants, sit back and enjoy your native riparian buffer. That's pretty much how it works. Give us a call anytime to come out and check out your property with you. It's always great to see different parts of the watershed. Anybody that lives within the Ashokan watershed, that lives within 100 feet of a water body. So whether that's a pond, generally the ponds have to have an outflow, but as long as you live in the watershed and there is a water course on your property, so if that's a pond with an outflow or a stream or even a drainage ditch, any sort of flowing water, sometimes they're ephemeral, they're not flowing all the time, but any area where there's flowing water or there's standing water that has the ability to make it to a stream, you can apply and have assistance from the CSBI program. With that said, landowners often don't have a flowing piece of water on their property, but they have invasives on their property, and birds can very simply go around and pick a berry that's not by a watercourse and deposit it in a watercourse. So while you might not be eligible for the funding to help you take care of it, you're certainly eligible for the technical expertise to have us come out, check it out with you, come up with a really good management strategy for dealing with your particular infestation of invasives or wanting to restore native plants. So we have a pretty good expertise of native plant ecology in the office, really good understanding of how to manage native plants, and really good support from both Cornell University, from the Department of Environmental Protection, from some friends at the Catskill Regional Invasive Species Partnership. So we have a great network to be able to find you the resources as the landowner to help you deal with your property.